back, dear students. Wish you all stay happy, healthy and safe at home and do your studies regularly and properly. I am Yojana Parak and today we are going to see a chapter for Standard 10 from your English textbook Footprints Without Feet, that is your supplementary reader. The name of this chapter is Footprints Without Feet. This is your 5th chapter. The name of this chapter and this book is the same. Written by H.G. Wells. This is the second part we are going to start. First part has already been done, in which we saw that there is a scientist who is very brilliant, but he is a lawless person. He doesn't obey the law and rules. And he wanted to make an experiment to make human body transparent and invisible. So he attempted that experiment on himself and he became invisible and transparent. And then he set his owner's, his landlord's house on fire because he wanted to get him out of his house because he really troubled him. Now, after setting fire in his landlord's house, he went out in the open street of London. But it was the time of winter and he had not worn any clothes because if he will wear any clothes, the clothes will be visible on his body. But his body won't be visible, so it will look strange. And in that winter, in that cold, chilled air, he couldn't bear that cold. So somehow he had to cover himself. Now, when he was walking on the road, he stepped into the mud, and as he was walking, the mud imprints of his, the mud footprints created, and the people on that road started following those footprints, but they couldn't understand that how these footprints came. So it was the invisible scientist. It was the footprints of invisible scientist. Now, as the mud got removed from his feet, those footprints became invisible, and that man also, they couldn't get that how this footprints created. Then, as he was feeling cold, he entered into a store when that store was about to be closed. So no one could get that someone has entered as he was invisible. And then he opened boxes, got some clothes, and in the kitchen of that storeroom, he found some food and he had the food and he got the clothes without paying a penny. Then he slept there. If he would have got up early in the morning, he would have saved himself from the storekeepers. But he got up late, and those storekeepers found him in the store without their knowledge, and he started running as he got panicked when he saw early in the morning those storekeepers in front of him, and those storekeepers also started chasing him. And then to get escape from their grief, he removed all his clothes. As he removed all his clothes, he again became invisible. They all were surprised. Then he decided that I should go to a theatrical place. There I can find everything whichever I want to cover my body and to cover my appearance so that no one will identify me as Griffith. So he got everything. He got a head, spectacles, whiskers, and a nose. And he got some clothes also. He tied bandage over his shoulder up to his head and neck. Now he wanted to leave that place as the London was very crowded and people might start questioning about his appearance. So he left that place and he went to Alpine. There he stayed in a lodge, and the owner of that lodge was also surprised to see his appearance, but as he had paid the rent in advance, so and he requested that I have came here just to find solitude. I want to stay here alone. So do not disturb me. And I had made an accident, that's why my appearance is like that. So they accepted it, and somehow they convinced to let him stay in that lodge. Now what happens we will see in the second part. So let us continue. Mrs. Hall, the landlord's wife, made every effort to be friendly, but Griffin had no desire to talk and told her, "My reason for coming to Iping is a desire for solitude. I do not wish to be disturbed in my work. Besides, an accident has affected my face." Satisfied that her guest was an eccentric scientist, and in view of the fact that he had paid her in advance, Mrs. Hall was prepared to excuse his strange habits and irritable temper. But the stolen money did not last long, and presently Griffin had to admit that he had no more ready cash. He pretended, however, that he was expecting the check to arrive at any moment. Solitude, that means the state or situation of being alone. Eccentric, that is unconventional and slightly strange. So, in London, he stolen the money from the shopkeeper after getting the attire from the theatre. And then he came to Iping and he paid the rent of that lodge in advance from that stolen money. So now when he came to the lodge, Mrs. Hall, the wife of the landlord, tried every effort to be friendly with the Griffin. But Griffin denied and he said that I just want to live alone. That is why I have came here. So do not disturb me. I do not want to be disturbed in my work. So now she could believe that her guest was strange and he was unconventional. No one can believe or can be convinced by his appearance, by his way of talking. But still, she accepted that he is a strange scientist. And he gave the reason of his strange appearance that he met an accident, that is why there was bandage over his head and neck. So he said that because I have met an accident, so I am not healthy and even I want to live in solitude. I want to live alone for my work. So do not disturb me because I am not in a mood to talk with anyone. So even though Mrs. Hall tried every effort to be friendly, but she couldn't, and as Griffin denied to talk with anyone, so she accepted that he might be a strange, somewhat unconventional scientist, so let him be alone as he had already paid the rent in advance. So she could give excuse to herself that he is a strange man, but as he had paid already the rent in advance, so let him stay in the lodge and do not disturb him as he wants. So somehow she could excuse his strange habits and irritable temper, even though his habits were strange and he was very ill-tempered, but she could manage it. As she thought that he is a strange man or kind of strange अजीब सा scientist है, and as he had already paid the advance, so I have to bear that. But the stolen money did not last long. So the money for the rent of that lodge he had paid in advance, but the remaining money did not last for long to pay the rent. And now the time had arrived, he had to pay the rent and he had no more ready cash to pay. So he pretended, he acted like a check was about to arrive to him and he will pay the rent very soon. But how will he get the money? There was no source of getting money. Still to stay there, he lied. Shortly afterwards, a curious episode occurred. Very early in the morning, a clergyman and his wife were awakened by noises in the study room, creeping downstairs very slowly without making any sound. They heard a chink of money being taken from the clergyman's desk. Without making any noise and with a poker grasped firmly in his hand, the clergyman flung open the door. Surrender. Curious, that is strange or unusual. Clergyman, that is a male priest, minister or religious leader, especially a Christian one. Poker, that means a metal rod with a handle used for prodding and stealing an open fire. As the atmosphere is very cold in the London, so they used to keep open fire, and for that they used to keep a rod that is called poker. Grasp, that is seize and hold firmly. Now, when Griffin came, he stayed there for some time. For that period he had paid the rent in advance, but now that period ended and he had to pay the rent again, but he had no money and he gave excuse that a check was about to arrive, from that he will pay the rent, and he was staying there. But now anyhow he had to pay the rent for staying there, otherwise he will have to leave that place. So very soon, shortly afterwards, after that time, a curious, a strange incident occurred. Very early in the morning, the priest and his wife were awakened by noises in the study room. Creeping downstairs, they slowly went downstairs as they were thinking that there would be a thief. So, without making any sound, slowly without making any sound, they went downstairs slowly. They heard the chink of money being taken from the clergyman's desk, and they heard that from the study room, someone was taking the money from the desk of that priest. Without making any noise and with a poker grasped firmly in his hand, the clergyman flung open the door. So, the priest, without making any sound, slowly he was holding a poker, a rod in his hand firmly, tightly, and the clergyman flung open the door. By that poker, he opened the door and he shouted, "Surrender." Then, to his amazement, he realized that the room appeared to be empty. There was no one. But they were sure that they heard the sound from the study room only, and they were aware that someone has came into their room and the desk was open where the money was kept, and that money was not there. So they were sure that someone had entered in the room, stolen that money, but now there was no one in the room. And that was a surprise for them. They were shocked as they saw this. He and his wife looked under the desk. Might be he would have hidden under the desk and behind the curtains and even up the chimney, but there wasn't a sign of anybody. They couldn't understand how and where that man is kept. Yet the desk had been opened and the housekeeping money was missing, as they were sure that someone had stolen their money. But they could see the proof of it, but there was no one. So they couldn't understand that money is stolen, but by whom and where that man has gone. Extraordinary affair. The clergyman kept saying for the rest of the day. The whole day he kept on saying that it was an extraordinary affair, because he was completely surprised and shocked by that incident. But it was not as extraordinary as the behavior of Mrs. Hall's furniture until later that morning. The same morning, after some while, another strange affair happened in the room of Mrs. Hall, and something has happened to the furniture of Mrs. Hall's room. Affair, that means an event or sequence of events, continuous events of a specified kind. Here, what was the specified kind? There was being theft in their house, or that has previously been referred to. Something that had already been done was again happening. So he kept on saying extraordinary affair because in the early morning they heard the sound that in the study room that money was being stolen. But when they entered in the study room, they saw that the desk was open, money was not there, but there was no one in the room, and they couldn't understand that where that thief had gone. They checked everywhere, but they couldn't find anyone. After some while, sound came from Mrs. Hall's room, and someone had destroyed the furniture of that room. But again they couldn't find anyone there. So both these events were surprising and shocking for them. That is why Mr. Hall kept on saying whole day that it was an extraordinary affair. These events were extraordinary and unbelievable. The landlord and his wife were up early, very early, and were surprised to see the scientist's door wide open. Usually it was shut and locked, and he was furious if anyone entered in his room. The opportunity seemed too good to be missed. They peeped round the door, saw nobody, and decided to investigate. The bedclothes were cold, showing that the scientist must have been up for some time. And stranger still, the clothes and bandages that he always wore were lying about. A question of trust the room. Peep, that means to look quickly and furtively at something, especially though a narrow opening. So, again in the next morning they woke up very early than usual days and were very surprised to see that the door of the guest room was widely open, and usually it was shut and locked, because that scientist didn't like anyone to enter in his room, and he would get angry if anyone would try to enter in his room. But now that door was not shut, even not locked, that door was open wide, and they were surprised at how this happened, because it was not the usual habit of that scientist. The opportunity seemed too good to be missed, so it was a good opportunity for them and they didn't want to miss it. So they decided that they will try to enter in that room and will investigate that what he used to do in his room and why he used to he used to keep the door shut and locked every time, and why he get furious whenever anyone tried to talk with him or anyone tried to get in his room. So what was the mysterious thing in his room? They wanted to know. So they peeped, they secretly looked into that room with a narrow opening, and they saw nobody in the room. And they decided that now they will enter in the room and will investigate the room. The bed clothes were cold, the bed sheet and the cover was cold. So by that they could get that scientists would have got up early in the morning, showing that the scientists must have been up for some time. And stranger still, the clothes, and they were surprised again because the clothes and bandage he used to wear all the time were lying on the floor. So they couldn't believe. It was a question of trust, how they could believe on these things. So it was all unusual, unbelievable, surprising, shocking for them. All of a sudden, Mrs. Hall heard a sniff close to her ear. She could hear a sound of air. A moment later, just after a second, the head on the bedpost leapt up and dashed itself into her face. Then the bedroom chair became alive. Springing into the air, it charged straight at her, legs foremost. As she and her husband turned away in terror, the extraordinary chair pushed them both out of the room and then appeared to slam and lock the door after them. Sniff, that is, draw up air audibly through the nose to detect a smell, to stop it running or to express contempt. Leaped, that means jump or spring a long way to a great height or with great force. Terror, that means extreme fear. Slam, that means shut forcefully and loudly the window or door or a lid. So now, in the next morning, when they found that Griffin's room was open, they entered in his room and they found no one in the room. So they started investigating. But all of a sudden, Mrs. Hall heard a sound near her ears, sound of air. And just after a moment, the head was lying on the bedpost, was thrown on her face, lapped up and dashed itself into her face. Why itself word is used? Because they couldn't hear anyone, they couldn't see anyone. Just the things were doing such activities itself, by itself only. No one else was doing that because they couldn't see anyone else. And the thing started doing such kind of activity by itself only. So they couldn't understood that how this non-living things started flying in the air and doing such kind of activity without anyone's effort. They couldn't see any men. So अपने आप की चीजें ये सारा काम करने लगे, and they were very surprised. So the head which was lying on the bed came on the face of Mrs. Hall. Someone threw it, but they couldn't see anyone, so they thought that the head came itself. Then the bedroom chair became alive. The chair kept in that bedroom became alive and started acting by itself without anyone else effort. Springing into the air, it charged straight. It came straight to Mrs. Hall and it hit on the leg of Mrs. Hall. As she and her husband turned away in terror, because those things started doing such kind of activity by itself without anyone else doing any effort for moving these things. As they couldn't see anyone in the room and they saw such activity done by non-living things strangely, so they were afraid and they were in terror. They were too much threatened by these activities. And suddenly, the extraordinary chair pushed them both out of the room, and that chair slammed the door and locked it. So they couldn't understand that how these things happened, how these non-living things started doing these things itself without anyone else's effort. And they were completely shocked and surprised by it when they were pushed outside the room and the room got locked. So it was all out of their understanding. But the griffin was there, he was invisible and he was doing all these things. He threw that head on Mrs. Hall and that chair to Mrs. Hall, and that chair hit on the leg of Mrs. Hall, and then he pushed them away out of the room and he slammed the door loudly and locked the room. But as they couldn't hear, they couldn't see Griffin in the room, so they were astonished, they were surprised to see this kind of activity done by non-living things without anyone else's effort. Mrs. Hall almost fell down the stairs in hysterics. She was convinced that the room was haunted by spirits and that the stranger had somehow caused us to enter into her furniture. My poor mother used to sit in that chair, she moaned. To think it should rise up against me now. The feeling among the neighbors was that the trouble was caused by witchcraft. Hysterics, that means a widely emotional and exaggerated reaction. Moan, that means make a long, low sound expressing physical or mental suffering. So she was upset and sad, in grief. Witchcraft, that is the practice of magic, especially black magic, the use of spells. So now, when they couldn't see anyone in the room and the things, non-living things, started acting itself, so they were surprised, they were in terror, they couldn't understand that how this thing happened itself. And by that shock, Mrs. Hall was almost about to fall down the stairs in that extreme emotion, in that extreme terror. She was convinced that the room was haunted by spirits. So she thought that this act was done by spirit, and that room was haunted